In this video, I'm going to show you step by step how I took this beautiful vintage Drexel dresser and turned it into an absolutely perfect dresser for a baby's nursery. This dresser had seen a lot of love in its days. The top was pretty beat up, but overall the drawers were in great shape, and it really is a beautiful classic design. I'm going to go through my entire process in this video, which would be great if you're a beginner and you're learning how to refinish furniture or you're looking to start flipping furniture for profit. If you just want to see the before and after and a little bit of the transition, what you can do is you can go to the description and you can search the timestamps to jump ahead. So what I did is I got out my sander to see if I could sand off this top finish because I want to see what the wood looks like underneath. I would love to do a natural wood top, but when you start to see a lot of that white dust and swirl marks, that means that it is not going to sand off easily and you risk damaging the wood. So I grabbed my carbide scraper and I started using it to scrape away the very top of the finish. And now you can see once I got that top layer off, the sander does a beautiful job of stripping off the remaining stain and getting down to the bare wood. I ended up doing the entire top with my carbide scraper, and I'll tell you, I was sore the next day, but I don't like using chemical strippers unless I absolutely have to, and the carbide scraper did a great job of preparing it for sanding. I'm using a 120 grit sand pad, and then I'm just cleaning it up here with a little bit of water and dish soap to get all of the sand, dust off. And what the water does is it gives me an idea of what the wood is going to look like once it's stained, and it also helps highlight any imperfections that I'm going to have to work on or fix once I get ready to stain it. Overall, in pretty good shape, just a few little scratches here and there, and some of those may actually lift up with just letting this water dry, or they might be able to blend in with just a little bit of buffing. So I'm going to take the drawers out. All of the drawers had this really cute little lining paper. I'm going to save some of those papers. Who knows, I might find a project that I can do something with those in the future. Every drawer, luckily, had a nice center rail that was in solid shape, and I won't have to do any repairs on the drawers. I like to use my leaf blower to get all the dust out of it before I wipe it down, just making sure that the inside is super clean. That helps get rid of that old dusty dresser smell. I am planning to paint the body of this piece. So after I wiped down the sides, what I'm doing is I'm now going over it with my electric sander. I have a 120 grit sandpaper on it, and I'm just doing a scuff sanding. I don't want to remove the finish, but I want to kind of scuff that top layer, get rid of the shininess, and get it ready for primer and paint. You can also do this with your hand and just using a sanding block and a piece of sandpaper. It doesn't have to be perfect. It also helps buff out any scratches that may be on the piece of furniture. This is a crucial first step if you're planning to paint. You always want to scuff sand before you put your primer on. After sanding, I'm coming in with some Crud Cutter pre-paint product that's made to clean, get all the oils off, and prepare it for painting. You can really use any type of a degreaser for this. You can use Crud Cutter, Simple Green, even Dawn dish soap will work. But you want to make sure you get all that dust off and all of the oils from years of hands touching it. Some people have asked me how I move things around when it's just me at the house and I don't have anyone to help. You can see I do have some gliding pads underneath it to help it move easily. And then I've had these milk cartons or milk crates, whatever you call them, since I was in college, like years and years ago. And they are fantastic for propping my furniture up. So I just lean it back till it's on top of the milk crates, center those, and now I can work on the front of it without hurting my back. Just going to use my sanding block to get into some of these crevices, sorry about that, and scuff sand them just like I did the sides. Before I start to apply any primer and paint, I do want to tape off the top so that I can protect it, because I'm going to apply a stain to that later and keep it in a natural wood finish. I'm going to take all of the hardware off of the drawers. Once I get the hardware off, then I'll repeat the same process that I did with the body of the dresser. I'll give them a nice scuff sanding and a good cleaning to get them ready to prime and paint. For this project, I'm using a water-based primer by Zinsser. You can put your primer on with a brush, a roller, or a sprayer. I've decided to use a sprayer. I have 2 different sprayers. I'm using this one by HomeRite to put the primer on, and I tend to use a different sprayer to put paint on. This just helps keep the 2 products separate. As you can see, it goes really quickly when you use a sprayer. I was having a little bit of challenges this day because it was kind of warm outside, but what I would do is I would just kind of wipe the tip of the sprayer off frequently and keep shaking it every little bit to make sure that I didn't get any clogs in my sprayer. Let's bring the drawers in the tent. Notice I'm putting the drawers right next to each other. This makes it easy to spray them all at once and doesn't waste any of the product and gets a nice even application across all the drawers. Even though I was struggling a little bit with my sprayer that day and had to stop a couple times to get it to flow smoothly. Once the primer had dried, I put the drawers in the dresser, gave everything just a really light sanding with a 400 grit sandpaper, which I forgot to record, wiped it down with a wet washcloth to get the dust off, and now I'm applying my second coat of primer. And yes, you can prime and paint with the drawers in. It's not going to cause them to seal shut, and it actually just speeds things up and helps keep the product from getting on the sides of the drawers. For this project, I'm using a paint by Melange paints. It is their one paint, which means that it has a primer and top coat in one, and the color is Devotee blue. Now, even though the paint says that it has a primer, whenever I'm going over a dark wood with a lighter paint, I always use a separate primer. I don't want to take any chances of having any of the wood stain or tannins bleed through, and I want to make sure that this paint really adheres and lasts for another lifetime. So I'm giving my paint a good shake here, and hopefully I can get it open. Something I've seen people do is put a piece of wax paper over the top of it before they put the lid on, and that helps keep the paint from drying and causing the lid to stick to the container. But I was able to get it open, and I'm going to put it on with a small brush. I like these brushes that have a small handle. It allows me to move my wrist naturally and helps prevent my hand from hurting. Just dip the brush in, and then I start applying it at the center of the drawer, moving outward towards both sides. Once I get a nice even coat of it, then I'll come in and I'll do a long stroke across the entire top of the drawer and kind of lift it at the end to feather it and avoid an accumulation of paint at the end of each drawer. You'll notice I have my continuous spray water bottle there, so if the paint starts to dry too fast or feels too thick, I can just spray the drawer with a little bit of water, or I can spray the brush with a little bit of water as I'm putting it on. I am going to just go ahead and do the sides of each drawer, just kind of tapping them with the brush, and I'm also going to paint the top edge of the drawer. You can see I'm just kind of using the paint that was on the brush here and tapping it against the edge. Sorry, I didn't do a very good job filming. Here you'll get a better idea of what I'm doing. And this way I don't have to tape the sides of it because I have the control of the paint with the brush. Plus, I always have paper towels handy, so if I do get a little bit on the side of the drawer where I don't want it, I'll just wipe it off really quickly. This is a water-based paint product, so it goes on very easily, dries quickly, and has low odors, which is why I'm using it inside. We had a little catastrophe in our house a while back where our air conditioner leaked in the attic, and we came home and the ceiling of this room was on the floor. We just got it repaired, but we haven't put any of our furniture back in place, so I'm using it as a painting studio today. Here's what the drawer looks like with that first coat of paint. When it dries, it's going to be a little bit splotchy. The first coat never looks perfect. Don't worry about it, but just go ahead and continue that same process on the entire dresser. I had to shake it a little bit to get the drawers to come out because there's no pulls and they were all flush. Something that works really good to open the drawers. I've seen people that put the screw back in backwards. I've seen people that'll put like a zip tie through the hole. I like to use just like a chopstick if I have one handy to open and close the drawers when I have the pulls out. Here's an example of how you can just stick a chopstick in the drawer till it sticks, and then use it to pull out a drawer that's stuck and doesn't have hardware. Once that first coat is dried, I'm going to put the drawers back in just to take a look and see how they're looking. I also didn't repair any of the little dings or scratches with just the primer on it. I went ahead and put the first coat of paint, so I'll take a look and see if there's anything I need to repair before I do the second layer. This is a good example of why you want to label your drawers with numbers and size, because with these vintage pieces, they like to go into their certain areas, and sometimes they don't fit quite right if you don't get them in the right place. Tip, put your paintbrush in a Ziploc bag and drop it in the side of the refrigerator when you're not going to use it for a couple hours. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the sides of the dresser using pretty much the same technique that I used on the front. Clean it, get all the dust off of it, put a little bit of a little spray of water since it's kind of warm and dry. I do live in Arizona. And then apply the paint using the same brush, making sure I get a nice even coat and finish off with long strokes. I decided to go ahead and repair a few scratches and dents on the front of the drawers and a couple places where the hardware had scratched it. I'm just using a tub of plastic wood here. It feels kind of like a sandy Play-Doh, and I'll put it on the dresser, fill in any holes, let it dry, and then I'll come back in, gently sand it and paint it. And if I do a good job sanding, you won't be able to even see where I put it, but any little scratches, dents, or divots will be gone. I may have gone a little bit overboard, but I'm going to have a nice, smooth, beautiful finish when I'm done with this dresser. Once all that dries, I just grabbed my sanding block and my vacuum since I'm inside, and I'm just gently going over it, getting all of the excess off and sanding it smooth. Notice I am wearing a mask. Always wear your protective gear. Take care of your lungs and yourself. Now we'll just spray it down with some fresh water, wipe all of that dust off of it, and then go ahead and apply the second coat of the paint. While the paint is drying, it's a good time to work on the hardware. I want to use the original hardware for this piece. I think they're just perfect for it. So I'm going to try to clean them up with a little bit of Barkeeper's Friend. I have some of the soft scrub version, so I am just going to spread this on it and let it sit there for a minute or two. Then I'm going to grab some gloves and a little soft wire brush to go ahead and scrub those clean. Then I'm going to move them over to my sink, and I'm going to give them a good scrubbing under some warm water to remove all of the Barkeeper's Friend product. And hopefully these will be looking much better at this point. I had someone tell me that they don't like it when I add music, and that they really just like the sounds of the garage and the sounds of me working. So I'm trying that out with this video. Let me know in the comments what you think. It's kind of an ASMR furniture flipping video. And thank you to those of you who are subscribed to my channel and returning. I really appreciate your support. If you're new and this is the first time that you've watched one of my videos, let me know in the comments, and make sure that you subscribe so that you'll receive my future videos. Now we'll just dry them off with a soft shop towel. This also gets more of that patina and age off of them. Make sure you're getting all the little crevices. You want to get all the water off of them. And then because, they just weren't quite as shiny as I wanted them to be, I'm going to use a little bit of Rub and Buff. This is a product. I'm using a gold color. I picked this up, I think, at Michael's Craft Store, but I'm sure you can probably get it on Amazon as well. And I will put a link to all my products in the description. I do like to use kind of a stiff brush for this so that it really gets in all of the grooves and crevices of the hardware. And then you just kind of wipe it off and buff it with a soft towel like I'm doing here. And here is a before and after, what it looked like just cleaned and what it looks like with that little bit of Rub and Buff Gold product. All right, so it's time to work on the top, and you can see it needs a little bit of work. First things first though, let's go ahead and get this painter's tape off. I love pulling off painter's tape and finding that it did its job. It protected the top. There was no paint bleed through. It's super satisfying when the tape does its job, and I love this green tape. As I mentioned, I do put a link to all of my products on Amazon in the description for you. I want to use a gel stain to tone down the red just a little bit. So I have 3 different colors of gel stain by Dixie Belle, and I'm just going to test each color just in a little spot here on the side. I can always come back in and clean it off with a little acetone if I need, or buff it out with a gentle sandpaper. So I started with the lightest color, then I'm going to put kind of the medium color, and I'll finish off with just a little bit of the darkest color, and this will help give me an idea of which one I want to go with. So I've got the 3 on there. Let me show you close up what they look like. Not a lot of difference between the first and the second, but I decided to go with this one right here, this first color. I think it's going to be the best at still letting some of the wood grain come through, but kind of toning down that orange or red color, the natural color of the wood. I think it will also complement the nice, gentle, soft blue gray of the paint color that I used. So I'm just using a little piece of paper towel here to kind of test it, putting it around the edge first. If I like it, then I'll go ahead and do it all over the entire top. Gel stains are super easy to use. They're almost like a watered down paint. I liked the way it looked, so now let's go ahead and do the top. I have my blinds open, so this is just all natural light. So you're getting a really good idea in this one what this paint color looks like, how it's just the softest blue with gray undertones. And the top was just a little bit too orange and reddish for that color paint, at least in my opinion. So I'm adding this gel stain. It is also a water-based product, so I sprayed my wood first to help it absorb evenly, help it go on smoothly, and I'm just using a foam brush applicator and a paper towel to wipe back any excess. This video is a little bit longer than my usual videos, but I've been asked by some of you who want to try some of my techniques to show you a little bit more of the process. So that's why I'm doing more of the video in real time so that you can watch how I do it and hopefully do it yourself and start refinishing some of those pieces of furniture that maybe you've had in your garage for years, and now would be a great time to get them out and either bring them into your home with a brand new look, or try your hand at refinishing and flipping furniture for profit. I like to work in small sections rather than trying to do the entire piece all at once. This helps keep the water from evaporating, and you can always add a little bit of water over the top of a section that you just finished if you need to go in and fix it or blend it. Gel stains can be a little bit tricky, so these Dixie Belle products are a great beginner-friendly gel stain to use for your first try with gel stain. Like I said, they're almost like using a watered-down paint. The color also accumulates the more you add. So there was an area there that I felt was a little bit light, so I just added a little bit more of the product, some water to help it blend, and then went in with my cloth and smoothed it so that it has kind of a nice even application over the entire top of the dresser. Let's put our hardware back on. As I mentioned, I'm keeping the original because they just look so pretty with this style of dresser. And this is going into a young little baby boy's nursery, and I think they're just so charming on these bow front dressers. So a lot of times you'll see furniture flippers will clean out the drawers before they get started. This piece wasn't that dirty, so I didn't give them a thorough scrub down before I started. I am doing that now though. I have sprayed the inside of the drawers with a mixture that I use all the time for cleaning my house. It's a mixture of water, dish soap, and just a little bit of rubbing alcohol. It's a great all-purpose cleaner. So I'm using that to get the insides of the drawers nice and clean. Grabbed a little scrubby sponge where there was something sticky. And then now, as it dries, I am going to use this product. This is another Dixie Belle paint product. It's called Big Mama's Butter, and it smells so good. It is a wonderful oil conditioner for your drawers, and I apply it to the inside. Well, I'm going to apply it if I can figure out how to get it open, but I apply it to the inside and the outsides of the drawers. I like to use a big fat brush, and you'll be able to see how you can just see the wood soaking it up like almost instantly. This has a really fresh citrus scent that I love. I use this product. I have a wooden front door, so I use this product on my front door, both the inside and the outside. And I often get compliments when people come into my home, like, "What is that smell? It smells so nice." And this is what it is. All right, here's a before and after. This is the drawer that I treated. This is one I haven't yet. You can see what a difference it makes. And I am not going to put lining paper in these drawers because they're so pretty without it. Final step, we're almost there. Now I'm going to apply a clear, I'm using a matte polyurethane. This is a triple thick polyurethane that I picked up at one of my local hardware stores, and it goes on really nicely, and it's just going to help protect the top of this dresser from scratches, from fading, from getting water rings, you know, all of the things that happen in life. So I'm going to put on a nice even thin layer of it. I'll let that dry. I'll come in and I'll just gently, very gently sand it with like a 400 grit sandpaper or even a piece of brown paper bag. Wipe it clean and then put on another layer. I typically do that 2 to 3 times depending on the product that I'm using. Here's a reminder of what this dresser looked like when we started. Beautiful dresser, but in pretty bad condition. And here's what it looks like now. So sweet and just perfect for a nursery. I hope you've enjoyed this furniture flip. I hope you've learned a few things, and I hope you follow me on my next furniture flipping adventure. Make sure to like and subscribe, and thank you for watching.